Can the Dallas Cowboys right the ship after back-to-back losses, or will their division rival New York Giants play spoiler at home on Thursday night? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tommy John Studio in New York City. I am your host, Charlie DiSturco, and this is Green Dot Daily, live every weekday at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's not an island game without Sean Koerner and Nick Giffen hopping on to dish out their favorite props. We've got them coming up in just a second plus. Koerner has an angle for the total on this one. Brian Matthews also joins me for a little four-down territory as we combine to give out 4+ money props, all for this one tonight. And of course, we're going to get tropical. Gilles Gallant will join Sean Koerner, Nick Giffen, and myself over in Ibiza as we make a same-game parlay. Action Island is coming to you at the end of the show. But let's start by talking about some of the most bet props ahead of Thursday night football between the aforementioned Cowboys and Giants. It seems like gambling Twitter has been at the forefront of the Wico Dowdle Express. Him racking up double-digit attempts is among the most bet props for tonight's game. Do we finally see a breakout game from CeeDee Lamb? That's another question entering week 4 since the superstar receiver has gotten paid, and his receiving yards ranks among the top 5 most bet props at BetMGM as we welcome in Sean Koerner and Nick Giffen now to discuss more about this Thursday night football affair. Sean, I'm going to kick it to you first. I know you have a write-up over at Action Network where you like a total in this one. Please tell us more.
So I'm on the under tonight. I got it at 45.5. Still like it at under 45. I gave like a million reasons in my Thursday night preview why I like this matchup to stay under, but the TLDR would just be if you think a game that could see an increase in Rico Dowdle and Devin Singletary rush attempts deserves a total as high as 45, knock yourself out and take the over here. I, however, will be on the under.
It's pretty short and sweet and to the point, and a great reason. Nick Giffen, as for you, this is also a luck rankings under, if I'm correct.
Yeah, this is our first luck total of the season. This has a luck total of -5.6. Anything below -5 makes it a luck under at this point in the season. Couple quick reasons, and Sean mentioned this in his article. The Dallas Cowboys defense have allowed a 90% red zone touchdown rate. That's sure to regress closer to like 55-60% league average over the past few years. And then also, Dallas has had a couple of lucky scores, a defensive score, things like that. So just some reasons that maybe some higher totals have been involved, especially on the Dallas side of things, than expected. So we should expect a little bit lower scoring in Dallas games, especially.
Yeah, and if you expect Dallas they have near touchdown favorite, they can run the ball, they are the better offense, control the clock, the tempo, all that. So should be pointing towards an under. I love both of you guys on this one. Sean, I have a question for you real quick before we get your guys' props, and obviously both, or at least Sean's is over at BetMGM, so you can get that ready in a sec. But Sean, I'm going to be selfish here. I want to know your thoughts. Micah Parsons to get a sack at -120, or I guess it's 0.75 sacks at -120 over at DraftKings. I feel like this is a great spot to buy on the Dallas defensive pressure, getting to Daniel Jones. We've seen how much success they've had in the past, Parsons in particular. And outside of the week 1, we have gone 2 games without Micah Parsons getting one now. It feels like this is a great spot against a bad Giants offensive line. Am I crazy by thinking that this is the way to go here, or is the price a little bit too high on him?
No, you're definitely not crazy. You're on the right track here because, Parsons only has 1 sack on the season, but he still has 16 pressures, which ranks 6th most in the league right now. So you'd actually expect him to have closer to 3 sacks right now. He is absolutely due for some positive sack regression. I would the only caution here is the prop is 0.7.5 sacks, so he has to get a full sack here. 16% of his sacks in his career have been half sacks. But even when you factor that in, I actually have this closer to -140 on the over. So I think there's some value here. I won't be joining you. I'm still recovering from my Rashawn Gary sack debacle last week. So I'm going to avoid this for now. But I do think there's some value on the over here.
Okay, maybe I'll end up on this one. Me coming to you guys with an over. What else is new on Green Dot Daily? I like this one, though. I think that this is a great spot for him. But, of course, let's not keep the people waiting any longer. Nick Giffen, you're up first. Your favorite prop for TNF?
Yeah, so mine is over on DraftKings as the best one here. And we're going to go with a kicker prop. I am going to take Greg Joseph under 1.5 extra points made at plus 130 for the New York Giants kicker. Hey, I'm 4-0 in kicker props so far this year, Charlie. So we're going to try to go 5-0. And we're already rooting for the under, right? We just talked about this. So this correlates really well with the under. Not scoring touchdowns is good for the under and good for under 1.5 extra points made. I talked about the Dallas Cowboys defensive red zone TD regression potential, going from 90% so far to hopefully closer to league average 55 to 60%. So a little bit of value there. And also the New York Giants, when they do score touchdowns, they go for 2 quite often. So far this year, they've gone for a 2-point conversion on 33% of their touchdowns, which is great for not having extra points. And in all 3 years under Brian Daboll, they've been in the top 7 in terms of highest 2-point conversion attempt rate after touchdowns. If they do kick an extra point, Greg Joseph himself is a below average kicker, so he could always miss one of these. He's only around 90% career on extra points versus around 95% league average. And similarly, just to add more kicking data, he's about 5% lower than average on field goals as well. So clearly a below average league kicker in Greg Joseph here. So definitely a chance to miss. Right now, according to NOAA.gov, there is potential for some rain, around a 50% chance. And speaking of 50% chance, that's the probability I give him of going under 1.5 extra points made. So getting that plus money here is really nice.
Yeah, it feels like the Giants are really going to struggle to score against Dallas, and the pressures that they can get on Daniel Jones, it'll be hard to move the football, maybe settling for more field goals, but you mentioned it. Greg Joseph also he's filling in right now for the injury. I'm going, no, he hasn't been that great, really thrown into the fire last week. And I can confirm, as someone live from New York City right now, it's still raining, it's still gloomy, it's not great outside. So potentially that bad weather also factoring in to an under here as well. All right, Sean Koerner, BetMGM is best available for your prop in particular. Please tell us more.
Yeah, so I'm going with Zeke under 27.5 rushing yards. BetMGM just dropped this down to 27.5. So it's pretty much 27.5 anywhere you can get this. Love the under here. Zeke's seen his usage rate decline each week so far this season. And I think it's safe to say he's well past his prime at this point in his career. And Rico Dowdle has really been operating as the lead back. And last week, one of the most interesting things about last week was Dukes Vaughn actually saw a snap and a rush attempt before Zeke even entered the game on the third drive of the game. So that is not good news for Zeke's stock. However, Zeke is still probably their main goal line back and short yardage back. But those are situations where you're not really expected to rack up a ton of yards anyway. So if he does get a couple extra carries, it could be, around the goal line, which I'm not too afraid of here. Plus, the Cowboys, they're a team that mix in their wide receivers quite a bit in the running game. CeeDee Lamb, Kevontae Turpin, and Brandon Cooks all have 2+ rush attempts on the season. CeeDee Lamb actually lined up in the backfield on a handful of snaps last week. So their stagnant running game, they try to get creative and mix in other players. It's just really bad for Zeke's expected rushing share here. I guess the only silver lining would be the Giants' run defense has been so bad this year. However, if you look, Zeke mainly runs inside the tackles, and that's been really the only area the Giants' run defense has been pretty stout. They actually have the second highest stuff rate in the league on runs inside the tackles, but they allow the third most yards after contact. So they're kind of a boom bust defense in that respect. And Zeke has yet to force a missed tackle this year. So I don't even know if he could take advantage of that. So either way, I'm projecting him closer to about 23.5 yards. And since every yard in this type of market matters, I'm giving him around a 62% chance he stays under 27.5 yards here.
Yeah, it feels like, obviously Gambling Twitter's hyping up Rico Dowdle, but for good reason. Zeke is well past his prime, the short yardage guy, as you mentioned, when he gets the touches. So as long as he doesn't, somehow it's a handoff on 4th and 1 and he ends up breaking it for 15, it feels like a good spot. And just so
don't
fun.
Put up, I don't want to visualize that. Yeah,
I'll knock on wood right there. But I mean, I was just looking also at the lines as it was going on. DraftKings immediately took it off. So this is why you have to be listening to Green Dot Daily, because the lines do move. Before we let you guys go, because you will be coming back for Action Island in just a sec, Nick, we will be live for Bet What Happens Live, right? And if I'm correct, I'm pretty sure you guys went absolutely off on Monday night.
Yeah, we hit 3 anytime touchdown props live at halftime on Monday Night Football for the 2 games that we had. Obviously, just 1 game tonight. So myself and Grant Neefer will be back for Thursday Night Football. Bet What Happens live at the 2-minute warning of tonight's game.
Yeah, listen, if you're not doing anything, if you're at the bar even, you pull up the stream, you got to watch Bet What Happens Live. It's time and time again. Nick and Grant have been doing an unbelievable job and continuing to churn out profits. But Sean Koerner, Nick Giffen, we'll get to you guys in just a sec over to Ibiza. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Not that it should come as a surprise, but here's a look at how both starting quarterbacks have fared against their division rival. Dak Prescott lost the first 2 games against the Giants in his rookie season, but has won 10 straight since. It's been a lopsided affair for the Cowboys, who scored 89 combined points against the Giants last season. Daniel Jones has won just once, back when Dak was hurt and Andy Dalton started for Dallas. His success has been far and few between, throwing more interceptions than touchdowns. As we now welcome in Brian Matthews for a little 4-down territory. Brian, I'm expecting big things from you here. We say that, in the game, positive regression, people are due. This is, I think, the perfect spot for you on a bounce back. How are you feeling, my friend?
Hey, good. Look, there's nowhere to go but up. And the way I see it, when you go for 2, you got to come back strong. So I've got some picks that I like. I'm ready to sweep the board.
All right, so let's start it out. As always, 4-down territory. You go lowest odds first, and then each subsequent pick will go up in odds. You have first down, my friend. You beat me to the punch. I love this prop as well, but tell the people watching where you're headed.
All right, so look, we're going to start off. We're going to go with CeeDee Lamb, 90-plus receiving yards. Now, there are a multitude of reasons that I like this. Number 1 being that he torches the Giants. Number 2, the Giants are going to be without Drew Phillips and Adoree Jackson, 2 cornerbacks that are involved heavily in that rotation. So they are going to be undermanned there in a game that CeeDee Lamb has dominated. And this is just a game where he's still, even though he's not putting the numbers up that he has last year, he still has a 20% target share. And I'm expecting them to feed them the ball tonight. I think Lamb goes for 100+ tonight. So let's just keep it easy. We'll go 90+ at +122.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Think that 100+ is in order for Lamb. The Giants secondary is already not good. Then you factor in a couple cornerbacks down, the fact that CeeDee Lamb can line up literally everywhere on the field, in the backfield, in the slot, on the outside. It doesn't matter. He's going to be a problem. And he was angry last week. I'm expecting a Jamar Chase type game for him that we saw on Monday. But I'll take second down now. We're going to go from that plus money territory up to +205. And I'm taking a shot here on Theo Johnson, 25+ receiving yards. Listen, he's the tight end 1 in New York. He's completely deseated or unseated Daniel Bellinger. It's a buy low spot for him. If you look based on how he's performed, yeah, he only has 2 receptions on the season, but 2 of those 3 games he had at least 3 targets. I'm expecting him to haul in more than just about, 28-30% of the targets that he's been thrown. And Dallas, they're about average against tight ends when it comes to a DVOA perspective. It includes Baltimore, where all they did was run last week. They didn't even target Mark Andrews, likely didn't get involved. And Taysom Hill ran the ball 3 times and was not a factor in the passing game as well. We saw against Cleveland what a real tight end can do. I think Theo Johnson, while he's no Njoku, 25+ is not asking for much in a negative game script where the Giants are going to pass the football. I was going to do touchdown VMAT, but I was like, you know what? Let's play it safer. Let's go with Theo Johnson being able to get a couple catches in open space and taking 25+. So I'm going to go with him on second down.
Yeah, well, I'm a glutton for punishment, so I did a touchdown. So I'm going to go, look, third down. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to take Jake Ferguson at +240.
The other tight end.
So this guy, when you look at the red zone, target distribution on the Cowboys, the pecking order, it's CeeDee Lamb, then Jake Ferguson, then everybody else way down low. Like CeeDee Lamb last year had 27 red zone targets. People would be surprised to know that second on the team was Jake Ferguson with 24. So 3 less red zone targets than CeeDee Lamb. And if you look at his game, he came back. He was banged up, missed a few games. Then he comes back, 6 catches for 95 yards on 11 targets. So he's not showing any ill effects from the injury at all. So when you put all that together, I just think this is a spot where, yes, CeeDee Lamb is going to get fed, but there's always that time when it gets down in the red zone, things get tight. And Dak, even back, dating back to Dalton Schultz, he's always gone to his tight ends down in that area. So I like Ferguson at plus 240.
Yeah, I think this number is a great buy spot on him. Returned from injury, looked great last week. He's going to be involved. And like you said, people be surprised that Jake Ferguson had such a strong role in this red zone offense. He was a staple last season on the touchdown show where both you and I came on every Sunday. Everyone wanted a piece of him. It was always a rush to see who can get him first. And I had him in the wild card round against the Packers. He gets in the end zone for Dak Prescott. You mentioned the tight end affinity. So definitely a great third down look. All right. So, B-Matt, I have a confession. I'm only throwing a 10th of unit on this one, but I decided I was like, for fourth down, we're at a Hail Mary distance. I want to go big, swing for the fences here. And I'm taking an anytime touchdown because I missed the touchdown show a little bit. And so for fourth down, I'm going Tyrone Tracy, second half touchdown scorer. All right. Now, people at home might be like, who? If they weren't Giants fans. And, that's okay. But he's the RB2 for the New York Giants. Had 30% of the snaps last week. Is starting to fill in as that backup role. Yes, the backfield is Singletary's. But Tracy will still be on the field. He's been efficient. Last week, he looked great against Cleveland. 5 carries for 23, a couple receptions for 17 yards.
Yeah.
I think this game can also be a blowout. I think we could blink and this could be, a type of game where the starters are sitting out the fourth quarter. And then all of a sudden it's just Eric Gray and Tyrone Tracy getting a bunch of touches. They're going to want to get their rookie running back some use here. So even if Singletary has a big 20, 30-yard run, gets inside the 5, who are they going to spoil him for? It's going to be the vulture, Tyrone Tracy. I don't expect him to get involved early in this offense, but come the second half with tired legs in a potential, 2-3 score game, I like taking a shot here. I was between this last touchdown scorer. I don't know if I'm crazy here. You can shit on me if you want. What do you think?
Hey, look, man, I learned, I had Deontay Foreman last week, and Gilles had him too, but it was like, all right, yeah, the Browns are going to get up on the Giants. They'll just be able to run the ball. And then the Giants smacked the Browns around. So it didn't work out like I thought. So, I guess in my head, we've seen in the first 3 weeks, there's some outcomes that haven't gone the way we've all thought they would. So it's like a little bit of trepidation, right, on that whole predictive game script. But I like it. I think that the Cowboys will be motivated tonight, and I think the Browns just aren't that great.
Yeah, well, Deshaun Watson at quarterback is a hell of a worse than Dak Prescott. And listen, 40 points in week 1 against the Giants, then they hung over 45 the second time around. So if the Dallas is able to score a lot of points, I'm not sure this Giants offense will be able to match them blow for blow. So that's 4-down territory for you. Just to recap what we did. B-Matt, 90-plus yards from CeeDee Lamb, the wide receiver 1, upset, ready for a breakout game. My second down, Theo Johnson, the tight end 1, out in New York to get 25-plus receiving yards. That's north of 2-1. And then B-Matt, the other tight end in this game, Jake Ferguson, anytime touchdown at plus 240. And to round us out, a little sprinkle on Tyrone Tracy, 12-1, second half touchdown score. B-Matt, appreciate you hopping on, and best of luck tonight, my friend.
Likewise, my man.
Another week, another glimpse at perfection here at Action Network. After Sean Koerner's 16-0 run, our very own Chris Raybon picked up the baton with a 7-0 record betting NFL Week 3. To give everyone a piece of the action, we're offering new Action Pro subscribers $20 off the price of an annual subscription. All you have to do is go to actionnetwork.com/pro and use the promo code PERFECT, and you'll get instant access and notifications anytime Chris Raybon makes a pick. You'll also get access to our projections for NFL spreads, totals, and props for every game every single week. Once again, that's actionnetwork.com/pro with the promo code PERFECT. Another primetime game, another vacation. This time we're out in Ibiza. Hello, everyone. We're back on Green Dot Daily for a little tropical action island, and I mentioned it at the top of the show. Who's going to be involved? Sean Koerner, Nick Giffen, and Gilles Gallant, and they're going to be joining me just now in this monitor side of me. Hello, guys. What's up? So this is how it's going to work if it's your first time here on Action Island. We will be giving a same game parlay. Each of the 3 experts here will be giving their 2 favorite props. We will vote one in and vote one off. All right, Nick Giffen, no time to waste here. You're up first. Where are we headed?
Yeah, well, Sean and I talked about it at top of the show. We're going to go straight to the under 45.5. All the reasons Sean talked about, all the reasons I talked about. This one, especially being a luck under. We also know the primetime under trend. Some rain potentially in the forecast might make it a little interesting here with some missed kicks. So under 45.5 for the first one. My second one, I'm going to go Dak Prescott under 34.5 passing attempts. I think this line is a little inflated by the fact that the Cowboys were trailing each of their last 2 games for a good chunk of both of those games. And so I think this is a spot where they could be leading a lot of this and get a little more run heavy. Obviously, some more Rico Dowdle. If the Giants are giving Devin Singletary a bunch of rushing work, then maybe, clock is running. So this is just a spot where I think the clock could run a little bit more than normal, and the Cowboys have a better chance of playing from ahead. So I'm going to take Dak under 34.5 pass attempts.
Yeah, it definitely feels like this game has the potential to be just like what we saw last year, which was the Cowboys absolutely blowing out the Giants. And if that's the case, then as long as you get under 35 by like the third quarter or late in the fourth, should be no problem. They should run the ball out. So definitely like this one. And of course, the under, luck rankings, all of that together is just a perfect bow tie on it all. All right, Gilles, Sean, we have the under or Dak under, Dak under pass attempts. There we go, a little tongue tied there. Get to voting, guys. All right, Dak under attempts or the under in the game. Show them, guys, in 3, 2, 1. Under. I put a little smiley face there because Nick was making me choose between, or a sad face, he's crying because Nick's making me choose between unders. But the under 45.5 is the first leg of our SGP. Obviously, we talked about it at the top of the show. How can you really fade the luck ranking? So that's leg 1. Gilles Gallant, where are we headed for touchdown scorers?
Well, I mean, I know I just voted for the under 45.5, but I do still like some value on touchdown scorers in this game. Looking great at Jake Ferguson. I know BMAT just talked about him. Ferguson, he's no touchdowns yet this year, but great matchup. He looked healthy in week 3, 10 targets, 95 receiving yards. Last year versus the Giants, he crushed them. He saw 14 targets in 2 games. He scored a touchdown. 7 of those targets were actually inside the red zone. And coming into this game, the Giants were actually ranked 28th in defensive DVOA versus tight ends. So I really like Jake Ferguson to get his first touchdown of the year. And for the Giants side, I was looking at Danny Dimes, but I settled with Wan'Dale Robinson. And I think they should be excited about Malik Neighbors, but Wan'Dale Robinson has been getting a ton of volume. He's been Daniel Jones' main check down option, especially if that offensive line is not holding up. He could be good for some dump offs from that Cowboys pressure. He's top 15 in the NFL in total targets. He scored a touchdown in week 2 versus the Commanders. And through 3 games, 5 red zone targets, at least 1 in each game. So if the Cowboys do make it a point to try and shut down Neighbors, I like Wan'Dale to score instead. So Wan'Dale Robinson or Jake Ferguson are the 2 options.
And there you go. Gilles laid it out. We have to choose between Fergie or Wan'Dale. Wan'Dale, really, you think maybe Neighbors, the attention going to him. You got a safety valve with Wan'Dale. So Nick, Sean, we have 2 options for a touchdown. Let's get to voting. Jake Ferguson or Wan'Dale Robinson. Let's show them, guys. 3, 2, 1. We got a little GLAMOROUS. We're going Fergie, guys. Me and Nick going with Jake Ferguson here. I had to sing it because last time I sang it on a live show, it was the touchdown show with Gilles, and he ended up coming through against the Green Bay Packers in the postseason. So just a little sprinkle of good luck for you, Gilles. Sean, I want to ask you, you went with Wan'Dale. Just tell me why you went opposite of Jake Ferguson.
I'm just showing a little bit more value
okay.
Based on my projections. I could stop there, but
okay.
if the Cowboys, double, like triple team Malik Neighbors, it could leave Wan'Dale wide open. He did score in week 2. So I think I like both these plays, but I think Wan'Dale's pretty sneaky as well.
Yeah, I definitely think Wan'Dale has some value, especially at the number at hand, but we're going with an under. I felt a little bit safer with relying on the Cowboys to get into the end zone. That's kind of why I went with Jake Ferguson here. Plus, Nick doesn't want the Giants to score, and I don't want the Giants to score because Nick doesn't want the Giants to score. So there we go. Sean Koerner, you're up. Your 2 props for this one.
Yeah, so for my first one, I'm going to go with Zeke Elliott. It's under 24.5 rushing yards now. I gave it out at the top of the hour at 27.5. My bad. 3 yards worth of value is that's like 3 rush attempts for Zeke right now. So I still like it here. Like I said, he's really taken a back seat now to not only Rico Dowdle, but Deuce Vaughn actually saw snaps before Zeke last week, even before the game got out of hand. So the Cowboys are just really struggling with the run game. Like I mentioned, they even mix in their wide receivers quite a bit in the run game. So they spread out the rushing attempts too much. And, Zeke's going to be, the short yardage goal line back, but he's not going to have much field in front of him to really rack up many yards with those carries. So despite the Giants' run defense being kind of soft this year, they have been able to stuff backs on inside runs. So I think this could be a spot for Zeke to just, stay under 20 rushing yards again here. Projecting this closer to 22.5. Still like the under here at 24.5. And for my second one, another gross under, Charlie. Sorry about that, but it's Jalen Tolbert under 2.5 receptions. He's actually cleared this in 2 of 3 games so far this year. However, last week he saw all 3 of his receptions in the 4th quarter when Dallas was down a ton. They were throwing every play, running no huddle offense, recovering onside kicks. So he needed quite a bit of luck to get here. And in week 2, he had 6 catches when Jake Ferguson, the guy we're betting on to score a touchdown, was out. So he's really benefited from scenarios that aren't going to be in play tonight, in my opinion. So this is also a game we should see CeeDee Lamb see way more targets, even Brandon Cooks. So I think Jalen Tolbert's target share is going to go down a bit here. And it could be a more positive game script where they're not going to be throwing as much. So I like Jalen Tolbert under 2.5 receptions here.
Yeah, we need to put an Amber Alert out for Brandon Cooks if he doesn't show up yet again here. But you mentioned it. I like CeeDee Lamb a lot. I think this is a great spot. And how many times are Dallas going to be running 3 wide receiver sets, especially if the narrative that we're getting here, which is a Dallas lead, able to milk the clock, Tolbert not factoring in as much. All right, Nick, Gilles, we have between Zeke Elliott or Jalen Tolbert. Let's get to voting. All right, that Zeke number obviously tanked. Shout out to MGM FanDuel for watching this show. Thank you for that. Please like and subscribe too. Zeke under or Jalen Tolbert under, guys? 3, 2, 1. Tolbert, Zeke. All right, we have Jalen Tolbert under 2.5 receptions as the final leg of this SGP. Gilles, I'll kick it to you. Is it more just, I know you're the Cowboys guy, so I think you kind of a feel, but is it more Sean on the under earlier that helped you guide that way?
Well, I think as somebody who has probably watched every snap of Ezekiel Elliott's career, especially as a Cowboy, he looks extremely slow now and runs like he has concrete in his shoes. Mm-hmm. So he might end up finishing with negative yards because he just might get stuffed behind the line of scrimmage. So I just thought that was a better bet, especially because if there is a chance that the Cowboys do get down by a little bit, that is when Jalen Tolbert has kind of emerged as when they are trailing heavily. So if we do see a positive Giants game script, that's what concerns me, that Tolbert might get a little bit more involvement later on. A
little PTSD out of Gilles the last couple of weeks. I mean, you can't blame him. They haven't played well. He's thinking maybe it happens again with the Giants, but fear not, Gilles. Even with this prop, I feel pretty good with this SGP. Just a reminder of the 3 legs that we have. We got the game total under 45. Jake Ferguson, anytime touchdown. Jalen Tolbert, under 2.5 receptions. You put that together, you get just about 10-1 over at FanDuel. Nick, I'll kick it to you. How are we feeling about this SGP?
I like it. I personally went with the what's his name, Tolbert under, because it correlates well with the Ferguson touchdown there. So, and plus Sean killed the Zeke line. So, I kind of knew that was coming. So I had to go with Tolbert there. But yeah, I like it. It all correlates, and you get a little tiny bit of anti-correlation with us taking the under and Gilles giving out touchdown picks there. So I like that.
Yeah, so there you have it. The 3 legs, total under Ferguson and Tolbert. Nick, Gilles, Sean, appreciate you guys hopping on, and let's cash this one. And just one more time to tell you this 10-1 SGP. Nick Giffen giving out the game total under 45.5, and then Gilles Gallant, the anytime touchdown guru, with Jake Ferguson finding the end zone from Dallas, and then Sean Koerner, after absolutely destroying the Zeke Elliott line, we're going with Jalen Tolbert under 2.5 receptions. You put that all together, again, 10-1 SGP over at FanDuel. Of course, we can't let you go without me going toe-to-toe with the wheel on primetime football. And unfortunately, on Monday night, I fell victim to Trevor Lawrence absolutely sucking. He was benched in the fourth quarter, came up about 50 passing yards short. And the wheel, having Christian Kirk sober, you'd expect both of them to win or both of them to lose. But Brian Thomas Jr. has stones for hands, and the wheel ended up winning because Christian Kirk was the safety valve. So now I'm up just a game through 5, and my best bet for this one, I'm going to join BMAT, but I'm taking CeeDee Lamb at just 80+ receiving yards. I'm not going to take that plus money alt line. I expect a big game from CeeDee Lamb. He's angry. The Cowboys are angry. They're 1-2. Well, how do you bounce back? You give the ball to your best player. He's put up 100+ yards against the Giants plenty of times in the past. 80+ isn't hard to ask for. He's already been in those 60s through the first couple of weeks. I'm expecting a big game out of Lamb. It doesn't matter. The Giants can't stop him, whether it's on the outside, in the slot, in the backfield. He can line up anywhere. So the Giants falling victim to CeeDee Lamb is my expectation. The only downside is if there's a blowout, but I'm expecting the Giants to keep it relatively close. All right, now time for the wheel's best bet. As you can see, CeeDee Lamb under right there, and then the rest are overs. Look at that spin. Dak Prescott to throw an interception is the wheel's prop. Honestly, probably another beneficial one. CeeDee Lamb's over probably helps if Dak Prescott throws an interception, or if Dak Prescott's absolutely stellar, then I'll be okay. And if you think about last time the wheel took an interception prop, it took Aaron Rodgers to throw an interception, and what happened on Monday Night Football? He absolutely dominated the Patriots. So hoping the same goes for Dak Prescott. A bounce back opportunity for Dakota. The big money's coming for him, Lamb. So hopefully a big game out of them and no interceptions thrown. But there you have it. That's me against the wheel. And just a reminder that any pick that we give out on the show, you can easily reference by following us in the award-winning Action Network app under the handle @green.daily. We keep track so you don't have to. That's going to be all for this Thursday. Enjoy the football. There's college football on too. I'll be back here tomorrow, Friday, to talk NFL with Stuckey and Chris Raybon, and we'll also get into other topics throughout the world of sports. But enjoy TNF, and I'll see you again tomorrow at 3 Eastern.